My name is Marcus from Raritan Woodworks. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this outdoor mud kitchen for kids. I started milling cedar fence pickets that I picked up from Lowe's. And here you could see the parts list. Using a sled, I jointed one edge of the fence pickets. I then ripped the fence pickets to 5 inches wide, referencing that jointed edge. The overall length of this kitchen is just under 68 inches. And I split a couple of these pickets in half to make 4 pieces for the frame. Next, I moved on to using cedar 2x2s. I cut them to length, and then I added pocket holes to all the pieces, so when they come together they form a large box and a frame that would go down towards the sink end of the kitchen. I started making the 3 frames by joining them with cross members, and I remembered to glue all the contact points with Titebond 3. After flipping, you'll notice that I used a spacer to create a gap under the kitchen so that it's all raised up on legs. Here I'm attaching 2 of the frames together using 4 longer cross members, and this is going to make the oven portion of the kitchen. The screws I used for this are 2-inch Kreg pocket hole screws. Again, using a spacer to lift everything off the ground, and remembering to use glue. Now I need to connect the oven section to the other frame down on the other end of the kitchen. You'll notice I'm using a spacer block so that the front pieces overhang the sides, and then a little later we'll be able to wrap all these pieces around the oven section. I moved on to putting everything together with the frame. And here's what the frame looks like. Now it's time to close everything up. I'm adding this shelf all the way across the bottom of the kitchen. that'll act as both the shelf and the floor of the oven section. And I needed to add a couple support pieces under the shelf. By ripping the Picket in half, I'm able to get 2 support pieces from just 1. I then added these supports underneath the shelf. This really ties it together. And I'm also using glue and remembering that I'm using shorter 7/8 inch brad nails. Otherwise, your brad nails will stick out the other end into your shelf space. I moved on to gluing the countertop of the kitchen. And I made sure off camera to change to the longer brads before installing these slats. Now I wanted to add a support underneath the countertop, and I made sure right here to switch back to those shorter brads. Otherwise, I'd be nailing right into my table. Now these pieces are custom fit, so you're going to have to do some measuring. Just make sure that they fit for your application. I then started closing up the oven section, and to make everything hit, I just finessed everything with a hand plane. This is just a lot of measuring and then trimming and seeing if things fit. Now that it's closed, I'm moving on to the door. Now I wanted the window of the door to be in the center, so I had to remove some material from the bottom portion of the door. So here I'm just marking out the material I'm going to remove, and I just did that over at the bandsaw. You'll see it's a pretty simple cut. And that's the space I need to get rid of. So now it's time to glue them up. Just made sure to use tape so nothing slides around. Some people use salt for this. Tape works fine for me. And after that dried, I needed to install it. And the way I was going to have everything open up and close is by using a piano hinge. And you can see here they're pretty cheap. This is actually a 2-pack for these 12-inch piano hinges. Now I carved a handle, and this is just personal preference. I wanted something easy for kids to pull open, but you can easily just use a drawer pull. And after getting it to fit, I added some magnets that I just picked up on Amazon. So you can see everything stays closed, opens up with ease. Those magnets are also pretty cheap. Now I needed to cut out the holes for the sinks. Now this was easily done with just a drill bit and a jigsaw. And it didn't have to be perfect because the lip of the bowls are actually going to hide the cut. I also wanted these bowls to just sit inside of the hole. I didn't want to silicone them in or anything. This way they could be tossed to drain out all the water or to take water to a different location in the yard. Here I'm attaching the supports for the backsplash. I used 3 screws into the 2x2s, and I actually made this part detachable. I wasn't sure if my customer was going to be picking this up, so I needed to make sure it could come apart into smaller pieces to fit inside of their car. I ended up delivering this piece, so it could have been attached with glue permanently. Now on screen, I added the parts list for all of the plumbing, and I know this will probably vary from kitchen to kitchen. Maybe you would want to install a traditional faucet. This is just what I used. Now I'm just finishing up the stovetop with these discs. Nothing too hard here. Painted them black, screwed them on, and now we have a finished kitchen. This did take a little bit of tweaking the hose pressure, but came out pretty nice. So I hope you enjoyed following along on this one. If you would kindly drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel, that would greatly help. It also inspires me to make more content like this in the future. I'm hoping to release a plan for this kitchen, so if you're interested in where you could purchase this plan, please comment below. Thank you and have a great day.